It is official. 2025 will be a fun year for your boy Ego, and I cannot wait for it all to unfold. Mean Machine has a brand new interview with Ellie Seckbach, ES News. He was asked about the Crawford versus Canelo fight. Obviously, he has been in the ring, shared the ring with Terence Crawford, and I want to read a direct quote. The question is, how does Terence Crawford do against Payday? Payday, you want Payday? I know that. Canelo Alvarez. Mean Machine responds, quote, I hope they don't make that fight. I don't think it's a good idea for Terence Crawford to move up in weight and fight Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is just too big and too good. End quote. Listen, I know y'all want me to be wrong and you guys want my commentary to be bad, the haters, the detractors, but not this time. If you know and listen to my videos, I've stated from the jump, I did not like this fight. Canelo versus Crawford at 168. I've explained why. And it's funny to me that if you look in the comment section of all those videos I made where I expressed in multiple ways why I don't like the fight, you'll see comments from fans like, oh, Ego, you're hating on Crawford. This is a great fight. Crawford will stop him, yada, yada, yada. The funny thing is, boxing casuals in the comment section are saying these things, but you listen to what the fighters, pro boxers are saying. They're saying, and they have the same gripes, they have the same outlook as me, and I said it before these interviews even came out. For example, I told you I don't like the weight. If they were naturally in the same division, I would pick Crawford. When I said these things, the haters said, oh, you're hating on Crawford. You don't want him to get his money. You've been hating on Crawford since the Errol Spence fight. So that's fine. If that's what you feel about me, thank you for your viewership. However, you guys have to explain now, since you've solved the case on Boxing Ego allegedly, now explain why professional fighters and former champions and fighters and people who have fought Terence Crawford are saying the same thing. Because Mikey Garcia just did an interview and I made a video about it, and he said almost the same exact talking points as Boxing Ego. I don't like that matchmaking. I don't see it being beneficial for Terence Crawford. Canelo's too big and strong. Although Crawford has more skill, that weight is going to matter. Mean Machine. So Mikey has fought Crawford in the amateurs. That's a fact. Mean Machine, Aegis Kavalauskas, also fought Terence Crawford, but not in the amateurs as a pro, and he dropped Terence Crawford even though the referee had a blunder and didn't call it. So if Crawford is getting dropped at 147 pounds by not a world beater, right? Mean Machine lost to Virgil Ortiz, lost to Crawford, and I thought he should have lost to Ray Robinson. So this wasn't like a person who achieved what Errol Spence and Crawford did, or Keith Thurman, you know, it wasn't a name like that. And he dropped Crawford for sure. So now Crawford, one fight into his 154-pound weight category and a struggle fight with Madrimov, wants to add on 14 pounds of muscle, and I'll do a deep dive on what I don't like about that specifically. And that's why people like Mikey Garcia, Boxing Ego, and now Mean Machine are saying this fight don't really make sense. See, it reminds me of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I'm not saying that casuals might not be interested, but casuals were also interested in Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. But the reason I made that comparison is not disrespecting Crawford, saying he's a YouTuber or influencer turned boxer, but my thing is, people are treating boxing like a circus, like it's a video game. and like it's a Rocky Balboa movie where I gotta get out of retirement, right? They're treating it like a movie where Rocky Balboa comes out of retirement to fight Antonio Tarver, because of a video game, right? Like the comparison I'm making with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is they're from different eras. Jake Paul, I don't even know if he was born when Mike Tyson was fighting Mitch Green and stuff like that, and Spinks, right? So they're not the same era, but Netflix and the powers that be that had the money made them in the same era and brought them together. But again, boxing doesn't work like this. And you've seen a horrific Mike Tyson with his butt cheeks out, biting his gloves, and an uneventful fight, right? Because Mike Tyson is 30 years older than Jake Paul, over 30 years. You can't just treat it like a video game and just take somebody who hasn't fought in 20 years, body weight went up and down, does some drugs at least, marijuana, mushrooms, etc., and put him in with somebody 30 plus years younger than him, bigger than him at this point, and more active, and you're expecting fireworks. And I think that's the same thing with Crawford. Kieron Davis, Mikey Garcia, Boxing Ego, Mean Machine. All these fighters, Kieron been in the ring with Canelo and been in the ring with Crawford, and he said virtually the same thing. So the haters said I was saying it because I'm a hater, but these are people who have sparred. They show appreciation and respect to Crawford, but they're saying the Canelo weight, the moving up, it's pretty much what I've said. It's a process. You don't just move up. Put it this way. If what I'm saying is not true, then why did Crawford ever ask when he first started mentioning Canelo? He said at a catch weight. Canelo shot that down. So it looks like a person who's thirsty for a payday, and Turkey, he just wants to see fights he wants to see, despite if they make sense or not. Why did Crawford ask for a catch weight if he didn't feel he needed one? So obviously he did feel he needed one. Canelo said, I'm not dropping no weight for no Crawford or anybody else. So that automatically got removed from the conversation. Now we're talking about a fight that just doesn't make sense weight-wise because they're far apart. Catch weights do work, like Canelo's 23, Floyd's 36, fight at 152. Canelo said he could drop down to 150, so you gave him 2 more pounds and 2 pounds under 154. Cool. But this is just a reach. You're just putting people with names in there and, banking on Crawford being a great fighter and he can do something in the weight class. He didn't even stop his last opponent. He's going to stop Canelo, and pretty much he's moving up 2-3 weight classes. It just, to me, it doesn't seem logical to even make the fight. And, I guess that's where boxing is. If people are showing interest, then have it. But that's my 2 cents. Mean Machine says the same thing that I'm saying. And he's been in there and he hurt Crawford. So he's probably looking at it like, what you gonna do with Canelo? He way too big for you. And people are acting like Canelo don't have skills. That's the part that's killing me. People are like, oh, Crawford got skills and, skills pay the bills. But you're making it like Canelo's this one-dimensional, horrible fighter. Put it this way. Put Bud Crawford in with Canelo leftovers like Bivol and Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia at these higher weights, and Kovalev at these higher weights at 175, Caleb Plant, etc., and see how many fights of those that Crawford wins, because out of every fight I named, Canelo only lost to Bivol, right? So would Crawford beat Bivol at 175? Would he beat Kovalev at 75? Would he beat an undefeated Caleb Plant, undefeated Munguia, undefeated Edgar Berlanga at 168, right? So I firmly believe, based on the weight, that Crawford would look very vulnerable with Canelo leftovers, let alone Canelo, who's in there and showed that at least he doesn't get knocked out. Could Canelo, beat these guys, but then could Crawford beat these guys? If Triple G fought Bud Crawford at 168, even at age 40 or whatever, is that a guaranteed win for Crawford based on the fact that he came from 135? You see what I'm saying? You guys are treating boxing like a video game, and I can't wait. 2025 will be marvelous, and we'll see ultimately.